Hey guys, you know what day it is. We have a lot to talk about, so let's get to it. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel and happy Friday. It is the beginning of May. It's the first Monday of May, or first Friday of May, and we're looking at having a somewhat of another rainy weekend. It looks like I'm going to have some rain tomorrow, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to ride or not tomorrow. So we'll see how this works out. I'm actually making some upgrades in here. Obviously, I actually invested in 2 new lights. And so hopefully this is going to make it look a little bit better. So I had the light back right here. So I noticed that it was really reflecting on my glasses, which kind of annoyed me. May not have bothered you too much, but it really annoyed me. So I wanted to get into getting something a little bit more, not professional, but a little upgrades and different factors from there. All right, so we have a couple things to unpack today. And first and foremost, I hope everybody's having a fantastic week. Had a great week of training. Actually had a kind of a bad week of training, just really inconsistent this week, but that's okay because I actually dropped down onto the scale and I'm actually down a pound, which is good. Here's the factor with it. Because I had an interesting question this past week, and it had to do with age and weight loss. And we've heard the questions as I get older, it's harder for me to lose weight. As I get older, it's hard for me to get back in shape, and that is true. And let me unpack that and give you a reason why. First and foremost, as we get older, and I'm 49, I'll be 50 this July, and as I'm getting closer into my 50s, I'm in my late 40s right now. I'll be 50 this July, which obviously, 50 by 50. My goal is to lose 50 pounds by my 50th birthday this year. I've noticed that obviously training for the past 29 years. Gosh, can you believe it's been 29 years? I started training, got my first certification back in 1995. And obviously went back to school, formal education, but it has been a long time, and I've seen a lot of things come and go as a result of that. But the number one factor that has remained consistent is that as we age, it's a little harder to gain muscle, lose body fat, get back in shape, and here's the reason why. And really simple when it comes into that. After the age of 25, most people, not everybody, but most people on average lose about a half a pound of muscle per year. And there's a couple different reasons for that, but the primary factor for that, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, if somebody has some different information on this as to I'm wrong on this, please let me know. But my thought process is that as we get older, we lose about a half a pound of muscle per year. And the factor with it is because a primary indication is because we don't use it. The body is an incredible mechanism and it's very resilient, but if you don't need it, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So when we lose about a half a pound of muscle per year, on average, like I said, not everybody, but most people, they lose about a half a pound of muscle per year. What happens is we don't actually lose weight, do we? We actually either maintain, keep the same weight, or we actually increase our weight up. And because of that, we actually start to decrease our activity. But because we're not changing our calories to adjust for that, our weight actually either, like I said, stays the same or increase up. Well, if we lose muscle, if we lose lean body muscle, what are we replacing that with? Not replacing, but what is being generated in the body because of we're working in a caloric surplus and we're moving less. We're actually doing less activity. What do you think it is? Any guesses? Right. Typically, it's going to be a majority of it's going to be body fat. Well, here's the thing. If we take the next, from 25 and all of a sudden at 45, we start thinking, oh gosh, I want to start getting in shape. Well, we've lost, on average, 10 pounds of muscle as a result of that. But we've actually had a net surplus of body fat because we've either gained equal amounts, so for the same weight, we're equal amounts, or we actually weigh more, so now we actually have more body fat. Well, that stands to reason is why now we're in a surplus from a body fat perspective. So as we start getting in shape, we start doing resistance training, we start exercising, we do cardio, we actually start eating better, we start getting into it more, watching our diet, we get into a caloric deficit. So it takes longer to get into that perspective. The other reason, and this is again anecdotally my thought process, and this generally goes with guys, and there's two aspects with this, but guys, we tend to think that we are the same age as we were back when we were 25. So if we're 45, we tend to think, oh, I'm going to do the exact same exercises, the exact same weights, the exact same intensity as what we did when we were in our teens and 20s. And we can't do it that way. We have to start smaller. We have to start lighter. We have to build up that process. We have to layer it up. For women, it's similar but different. Why? Because women generally, not most people, but most women are incredibly afraid of adding in a lot of heavy resistance training. Now, heavy to me is a different variation. Heavy to you is not heavy to me. Heavy to me is way too heavy for you. So you have to pick a realm. You have to pick a weight to where you can work within that 8 to 15 to 20 repetitions, but you want it to be taxing. You want it to be effective. Now, when I say 20 reps, I'm not saying 20 reps and just blow it out, no problem with that whatsoever. I'm saying 20 reps to where 16, 17, 18, you're starting to really feel it, and it's a struggle. But you could probably do another 1 or 2 reps after that. So if you can stick within that 8 or that 6 to 15 repetition range, but make it feel hard, make it feel difficult, oh, that's amazing. Because 2 factors involved with this, so actually 3, but 2 factors involved with this. Number 1, it's going to either preserve or it's going to enhance your muscle structure. So you're actually going to start building muscle when it comes into your body, and you're going to really start feeling better. You're going to start looking better. You know, there is nothing more empowering for anybody. I don't care if you're a guy, if you're a girl, if you're an athlete, there's nothing more empowering to be able to do something for the first time when you haven't been able to do this. Case in point, pull-ups. One of my favorite exercises. Absolutely favorite exercise. Most people can't do them. Men and women, they have a hard time doing a pull-up. But when the first time you actually able to do an actual pull-up, whether it's a pull-up, palms are overhead, or a chin-up, palms are facing in you. Yeah, I got a little boo-boo there. But palms are facing in you. By the way, I like this one a little bit better because, again, it's a little bit easier on the shoulder. It's not your elbows and abducted out, so your shoulders and abducted out. You're in, get a little bit more bicep action, feel a little bit better with that. That's just a key point. But the first time you are able to do that chin-up, oh, it's just amazing because you feel so empowered. And then 1 turns into 2. 2 turns into 3, 3 turns into 4, 4 turns into 5, and so on, so on, and so forth. It is absolutely just fantastic. And you sometimes have to work up for that. So the first time that you're able to do something that you haven't been able to do that before, that is incredibly empowering. The other structure with it, the other benefit, I would say, the other benefit when it comes into resistance training is obviously bone health. As we get older, men and women start to lose bone density, bone mineral content. And so placing stress on that axial skeleton not only maintains, but it also tends to increase up in bone health. So that's another factor with it. The third one is obviously blood chemistry. It's been shown, it's been proven time and time again to where you start resistance training, your blood pressure starts to improve over time. Your blood pressure improves, your heart rate can start to improve, your cholesterol, your blood chemistry, all the blood sugar, diabetes, all those factors can start to be improved. Not corrected sometimes. It takes a little bit of time. You know, this isn't a quick fix. It's not something to where it will take you, 3 weeks and you'll start to see marked improvement. We're talking over time, again, along with caloric modification, and you will see tremendous benefits when it comes into those things. So, getting back to my original question that was asked earlier this week was, why is it so much harder to get back in shape, to lose fat, to gain muscle when you are older? Well, that's the reason why. Because we haven't been active. We've lost muscle. We've gained some body fat. But, don't fret, because you start actually increasing up on muscle mass. You start increasing up on weight. You start increasing up on exercise. You start watching your diet. You start eating correctly. You start eating into a caloric deficit. You start tracking your calories for a short little while. You're going to start seeing some progress. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I hope you have the opportunity to get out and do some things. Obviously, watch the weather when it comes into those. But other than that, guys, have a great weekend. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace out. Oh, one other thing that I completely forgot to discuss real quick. And this was a question, or this was a comment that was sent by my buddy Jeff. Now, for some of you that know, Jeff is an old friend of mine from high school where I'm coaching with him, and he and I are doing a very similar component with it, to where trying to drop 50 pounds by, this summer. And I got an opportunity to go to the gym with him last Friday and work out. And sometimes working with somebody, coaching somebody over the phone or online is a great opportunity. But actually being able to go to the gym with him and actually see him doing some things and basically modifying some things, adding a layer onto this workout is a fantastic thing to do. Case in point, us as guys, we like to go heavy all the time. We like to try and really press it out. Now again, Jeff is doing repetitions of anywhere between the 12 to 15 rep range. But what I advised him to do, and what he started doing a little bit this week, was actually slowing down his cadence. So instead of repping it out really fast all the way through, focusing on what's called the eccentric part of the motion, the slowing that negative portion down. Control the weight down, hold it, pause for a second, and then bring back up. Not explosively, but under control and athletically. What he did notice was that had to drop down, let's say, for example, like his chest press, he had to drop down from 60 pounds to, say, 45, 40 pounds in order to be able to do the same amount of repetitions. But he felt it more in the chest. He felt it more in that body part that was actually intended, which is absolutely fantastic, because you don't always have to do heavier weights. Guys, you don't have to always do heavier weights. You can sometimes do a lighter weight, slow down the tempo, control it, milk that eccentric portion, as to quote Dr. Mike Israetel from Renaissance Periodization, props to him, but milk that eccentric control, hold it for a second, and then bring it back up. What you're doing is you're putting more stress on the muscle structure, you're putting more stress on the ligaments and the connective tissue, and it feels better because you're not just pounding out a tremendous amount of weight up on those joints. That is a key factor in which I think everybody could do. Everybody can do. So instead of repping it out really fast, control that eccentric down, hold it for just a second, and back on up. Two things are going to happen. First of all, you're going to feel more of the movement in the muscle. That's the number one thing. You're going to feel more of that movement. That muscle-mind connection people talk about, that is actually going to happen very effectively. Number two, you're going to get better benefits. You're going to get better results of it, because again, the more stress that a muscle goes under, the more it's forced to adapt. We want that adaptation. We want that improvement over the course of a training experience. Otherwise, if it stays the same, what's the point of it? All right, guys. Again, peace out. Have a great weekend, and we'll check you next time.